share with you and, related to this topic that we are doing. Now, I'm going to go to the Veda base, and if you could please tell me whether it comes up.
No, it's
Can
not.
you see my screen?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay. Sarvadvarani samyamya manohridhi nirutya cha murdhni adhyatmanaha pranam astito yoga dharanam sarvadvarani samyamya manohridhi nirutya cha murdhni adhyatmanaha pranam astito yoga dharanam sarvadvarani samyamya manohridhi nirutya cha murdhni adhyatmanaha pranam astito yoga dharanam. Any Prabhu Mataji would please like to chant?
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Sarvadvarani samyamya. Are you going to repeat, or should I just continue? Okay.
We can all repeat also. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's what usually happens, but whatever, that's okay with
you could call and we could all repeat, Mataji.
Sarvadvarani samyamya.
Sarvadvarani samyamya
Mano hridi niryudhya cha.
manohridhi nirudhya cha
Murdhani adhyatmana pranam.
Murdhni adhyatmana pranam
Ashchito yoga dharanamam.
Astito yoga dharanam. Very good. Anybody else? Prabhu Mataji.
Sarvadvarani samyamya.
Sarvadvarani
samyamya
Manohridhi nirutya cha.
Manohridhi
nirutya cha
Murthai aradhyatmanaha.
Murdhani
adhyatmana
pranama.
Astito yoga dharanam.
Astito yoga dharanam.
Anybody else?
Sarvadvarani samyamya.
Sarvadharmani samyamya
Manohridhi nirodhya cha.
Manohridhi
nirudhya cha
Murdhni adhyatmana pranam.
Murdhani
adhyatmana
pranam.
Asthito yoga dharanam.
Astito yoga dharanam.
Any Prabhuji?
Sarvadvarani samyamya.
Sarvadvarani samyamya.
Manohridhe nirudhya cha.
Manohridhi nirudhya cha.
Murdhani adhyatmana pranam.
Murdhani
adhyatmana
pranam.
Astito yoga dharanam.
Astito yoga dharanam.
We'll read now the synonyms, translation, and purport. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Sarva Dvarani, all the doors of the body. Samyamya, controlling. Manaha, the mind. Hridhi, in the heart. Nirudhya, confining. Cha, also. Murdhni, on the head. Adhaya, fixing. Atmanaha, of the soul. Pranam, the life air. Astitaha, situated in Yoga Dharanam, the yogic situation. Translation: the yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life where, at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. Purport: to practice yoga as suggested here, one first has to close the doors of all sense enjoyment. This practice is called pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. The sense organs for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, should be fully controlled and should not be allowed to engage in sense gratification. In this way, the mind focuses on the supersoul in the heart, and the life force is raised to the top of the head. In the 6th chapter, this process is described in great detail. As mentioned before, this practice is not practical in this age. The best process is Krishna consciousness. If one is always able to fix his mind on Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in an undisturbed transcendental trance or samadhi. Om Agnantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for your time and your interest in attending today's program. So, the first slide will talk about sense gratification, what causes it, and its effect. All of us have the experience of sense gratification. What does this word sense gratification mean? Sense gratification, we all understand that we have 5 senses. We have the sense of sight, smell, taste, touch. So there are these 5 senses, and then there are objects related to these 5 senses. And when these senses are engaged with that sense object, it gives some kind of pleasure. So we'll understand that is what is sense gratification. And from the time that we are born, actually from the time that we are in the mother's womb, it's a very crammed place. That situation is quite, it's not very comfortable for the baby, can't move around and all. Still, even there, a child um, enjoys some level of sense gratification. And they have pictures of in the fetus, babies smiling and things like that. So all of us have this experience, and we have this experience moment to moment. It's not just once in a way, it's every time. Sense gratification. So we'll understand what causes sense gratification, and then what is the effect. The immediate effect, we know that it gives us some pleasure. That's the immediate effect. But then what is the long-term effect of sense gratification? So this is what the slide will talk about, and let's get into it. So to understand sense gratification, we need to understand that we are the spirit soul. This is the first thing that you understand. All of us understand that when you take on to the path of spirituality, when you want to expand your knowledge, your realization above the ordinary, there is a dimension which is just beyond whatever we can see, touch, feel, hear. So on that dimension, the first thing to understand is I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So what is the soul? The soul has certain attributes, and in context to sense gratification, we should understand that the soul is always serving. That is the nature of the soul. Soul is always serving, right? Mahaprabhu has also mentioned, Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Nityera Krishna Das. Das, that word das, or in the for Matajis, for women, it's dasi. So that das means to serve. The soul is always serving. That's one attribute. Keep this in mind. Other attribute is it is anandamayo bhyasa. What does this mean? It's a Sanskrit word which says it is full of pleasure, full of bliss. So the soul is an entity which is always serving and full of bliss. Another attribute is the soul has unending desires, and we can experience in our own lifetime every day. There are unending desires that are happening, unending, whatever it be, anything related to the senses. I have this desire, oh, I want this, I want that. When it has this unending desire, the soul has certain faculties. There is the gross body, okay? And then there is the subtle body made up of the mind, intelligence, and the ego. Ego is the sense of I-ness, being, I am. And when that is having a mistaken identity of who I am, it is called the false ego. So using the faculty of the mind and intelligence, the soul, okay, is thinking, it's feeling. That's what happens. And then it is willing and acting. So you can be thinking of an object. If we contemplate, and Gita had said, right, we contemplate on objects of the senses. So if my object of the sense is taste, and I'm thinking of, oh yes, yesterday from the fruit vendor, we bought some apples. Now these apples are lying on the kitchen counter, and I'm thinking of it. Kitchen is in the other room, but that apple, that thought, that object of my senses, taste object, that apple, I'm thinking about it. And then I'm feeling of biting into it. It's crunchy. I can feel that taste because I've experienced it before. And then what I do is I make a decision, willing. I want to eat an apple. And then the next step is I actually get up from my seat, go into the kitchen, and bite into that apple. So I have these desires. It comes in. So you see, this is the hierarchy. The soul is always serving. It is a pleasure entity. That pleasure entity is having unending desires. When those unending desires are there, thinking, feeling, willing, acting are the processes in which it acts on these unending desires. So once we have this willing and acting, we have these experiences, and these experiences are stored in our memory. This is the samskara, what they call. These experiences are stored. So everything that we are consciously aware of, and some things that are happening at a subconscious level, that is being registered, and it is getting into our memory bank. And in this memory bank, it acts as a repository that as and when these unending desires, thinking, feeling, willing, acting, experiencing, okay, it is referring back and forth, it's going there. So we are accumulating more and more and more experiences. That's why there is a saying that say that you are the sum total of your experiences. Sum total of your experiences, meaning to say is that if people have had a very comfortable and happy experience, he says to be leading a happy life. If someone is having a um, some people have an angry nature, some people are very brooding, some people are like what they say, masony, all the time criticizing, finding faults with others. So these are all the experiences, samskara, it is imprinted on the consciousness, which it is being referred to, and then that's how the entire life we live out. So this is the one aspect to understand about. We're trying to deconstruct this sense gratification. Now, what we understand over here is there is the spirit soul. I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So this relation of the body and soul is this pictorial will represent. I've used this before, so some of you who were there for the previous class will recognize this. We have the spirit soul, and it is encompassed with consciousness. Prabhupada has said is consciousness is the symptom of presence of soul in the body. That's a very nice definition to know, what is the difference between a living person and a dead person. So if somebody dies, what do we say? He has left, he has gone away. He has gone away. Who has gone away? That body is lying over there. It's lying. We can see it. That physical body is there. So who has gone away? Where has he gone away? So consciousness, that is one difference. Consciousness is the symptom of the presence of the soul. Consciousness is being aware. So as you and I are sitting here, connected through this electronic medium via the internet, Zoom call, okay, your senses are engaged. You are focused over here. But I can hear also, in spite of my earphones, I can hear this fan rotating slowly on top. So I'm also conscious. If a vehicle goes on the road, I can hear the sound. I'm conscious. Conscious is being aware. The spirit soul is being aware. So the spirit soul and attribute is Sat Chit Anand, the Chit aspect, the awareness, that knowledge. So spirit soul, it has consciousness. On top of consciousness is the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego. Now, this mind, intelligence, and ego is matter. It is matter. Just like we see matter, matter is what we think we can touch, see, and feel. So, similarly, there is matter. There are different states. And that state of matter, okay, is how it is very, very fine. So, there is mind. More finer than mind is the intelligence. More finer than the intelligence is that ego. So the mind, intelligence, ego is called the subtle body. It is matter. It is not something which is abstract. We think the mind is something abstract. It is happening in the brain, and your intelligence is also happening in the brain. But no, it is a physical element. It is a physical element. And on top of the subtle body is the gross body, which we are all very familiar with. We're all very familiar with the gross body, and gross body is something that you can actually physically touch, feel it. The subtle body, we cannot see it. However, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We can feel its effect. We can feel its presence. Like air. You can't see air. We can't see air. But we can feel the presence of air, or even absence of air. If there's no air, it's a very difficult situation. So this is how the relation of the spirit soul and the matter. Spirit and matter, this is how it is connected in the material world. Understand that this consciousness, subtle body, and the gross body that we're talking about, in the spiritual world, everything is spiritual. There's no matter. So the soul acquires a body, whatever it be, based on its propensity to serve. And that body is also Sat Chit Anand. Sat is eternal, Chit is full of knowledge, Anand is full of bliss. When this is happening, using this body, the body is the vehicle from which the soul is able to act upon its desires. So we have these actions, and we know, even material science has proved it, every action has a corresponding reaction. In the spiritual sense, whatever that we are doing, the action and reaction goes beyond just the material action reaction we have in the spiritual circle, understanding. It is the cycle of birth and death. So this is how birth and death happens. Our understanding is limited to birth, is there is the union between the male and female. So it's only limited to the physical aspect. And death is when, okay, you can say that with genes, there are each cell and the cells are made up of the genes, and the genes, they have something called the telomere or something. And in a lifespan, it is about 70 or 75 replications that it can have. And then finally it stops replicating. And after it stops replicating, the cell dies. And that's how it's called death. These are physical understanding related, just that knowledge is confined only to the material understanding. But what causes it? What causes birth? What causes for the male cell to unite with the female cell, and this wondrous thing from, it seems apparently from life, from matter comes life. That's what the material way of thinking is. So you combine this and then there is life formed. And then we are promised since time immemorial, yes, in the future, we will be able to create life in the lab. Hasn't happened, still won't happen. But what causes it? What causes birth and death? So life comes from life. Similarly, matter also has a source from a living entity, the supreme living entity, who is Krishna. So we have action, reaction. That action, reaction is the cycle of birth and death. Since these actions don't stop, reactions don't stop, and actions and reactions don't stop, we are always in this circle of birth and death. Birth is when the spirit soul acquires a body. Death is when the spirit soul leaves one body and acquires another body based on the actions and reactions it has incurred in that particular lifetime, occupying that particular body. So this is what is happening, and it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on is because of this you see on the left side of who the soul is, always serving, unending desires, thinking, feeling, willing, acting, experiencing. Again, it goes back. I want to eat that apple. When I eat that apple once, I'm not satisfied. The taste in my mouth, nice, fresh, juicy. It'll go and settle in my belly. I'll feel content for a little while. But then again, I may feel like eating an apple, maybe in the afternoon, maybe immediately. It doesn't stop. There are unending. An apple is just one example. There are so many. There are countless objects of the senses. And that's what we are caught up in this circle. So this is what is the cause, and this is the effect. What causes it is the soul, the combination of how the soul and the body is linked, and then this action, reaction, birth, death, and that repetition over and over and over again. So is birth and death such a bad thing after all? To ask that question, what's wrong with enjoyment? You hear people, you know, What are you doing? First class, just enjoy. Bas enjoy karne ka bhi. I'm closing to what they call retirement age. So my school buddies and all, since the um, elementary school, Facebook has brought everyone on our platform. So when you meet after long, uh, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine, boss. What are you doing, boss? Enjoy, enjoy. That's the thing. Enjoy karne ka. Enjoy, enjoy. So what's wrong with enjoyment? After all, we are a pleasure entity, Anandamaya Abhyas. What is wrong with enjoyment? We can experience, we all have the first hand experience of the effects of enjoyment. Yet we choose to be ignorant about it because we are so addicted. It's like literally an addict, an alcoholic or a drug addict. He knows that it is bad for him. He knows that it is destroying his body. He knows that it is destroying his mind. He knows that it is destroying his family. It is destroying the society at large. He knows it, but he is helpless. He just can't help it. Literally, that attraction is so strong that he's willing to cause harm to himself and others, but for that temporary fix or a high that he gets. We are no different than an alcoholic and a drug addict or whatever addiction a person may have. We are no different from them in the sense, of course, society shuns such people, wrongly so. Addiction is a taboo, sadly, but addiction is actually a mental illness. Just as we have illness of the physical body, addiction is a mental illness. So our illness, that mental illness, is of that ego. That ego is under illusion. It doesn't know who it is. Yes, we have to get, because we need to seek pleasure, but this pleasure that we're seeking is in the wrong things. Things don't give us pleasure. Things can only give satisfaction to whatever is the material persona of ourselves, but it can't satisfy the soul, because the soul is completely exactly opposite of whatever is matter. The soul gets satisfaction only in things that are spiritual. You and I breathe air. That's a natural state. But if you're put under water, it's a very unnatural state. And that's an example given that when a person, Prabhupada says, temporary cessation of miseries is what we call happiness. And the example is, if you take a person and put his head under water, very uncomfortable, he can't breathe, his lungs are almost bursting, and then you pull him up and he takes a big gulp of air. That big gulp of air relieves that miserable condition temporarily. Then again he is dunked in, and again he's pulled up, again he's dunked in, again he's pulled up. That is our situation with sense gratification. Our sense gratification is just that temporary respite from the miserable condition. Morning prayers, samsara dava nalalida loka. This world is like a blazing forest fire, full of miseries. That's the nature of this world. So sense gratification is a problem. And what you do with the problem is, one method is you can restrict the senses. That's what all the yogis and that school of solution looks at. We'll withdraw our senses. We'll withdraw our senses. What does this restriction have? And then the next is, it is direction. Okay, restricting, we'll try to direct it. Restriction means I put a curtain in front of my senses. Hold it, chain it up. The other is direction. The senses are running here and there, looking at sense objects, trying to seek pleasure in them. Then we say, okay, let's try and direct it. And then we have Krishna consciousness. So let us understand each of these processes and what works, why it doesn't work. So sense restriction is mind control. I'm trying to control our mind. Mind control is extremely difficult because our willpower is we are putting it up against Maya. Maya is a champion prize fighter. And we are skinny, weakling, no skill, no technique, our mind. We are putting it against that. It will always get knocked out. See how difficult it is, even when we are doing a japa. It's such a simple thing if you look at it. When you're doing japa, japa is you're chanting the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. See where the mind is running here and there. Everywhere else, the mind is running. And see how the mind runs from one topic to another. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And in the mind, what is going on? Oh, I have to prepare for tomorrow's meeting. Oh, in that meeting, this is, and then from that meeting, it will happen in another meeting. This person said that way and made me look bad. And then, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Why did he make me look bad? That's where the mind is going on, but the tongue is vibrating. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. And then as those thoughts are triggering in our mind, our speed is also increasing. And that Hare Krishna no longer becomes Mahamantra. It becomes it's some noise which is coming out, which is happening. And then if we've taken a vow of doing a certain quota, when that happens, that quota is over, there's a great sense of relief. I have fulfilled my obligation to Guru and Krishna. I chanted my prescribed round and I put the bead bag down. My bead bag goes down. I have a great sense of relief. Jaise ki bada boj ut gaya mere se. And then we have this question, strangely, I've been chanting so many years. How come there's not much effect which is happening? So what is happening is our willpower is that we are pitting against Maya. And Maya is very expert. She exactly knows. So much so Maya can come in the form of devotion and drag the mind away. It happens when you engage in service and that sense that, oh, I'm doing such service, I'm engaging in service. And then we compare ourselves with others. Why can't she also do this? I'm a working lady. She's just a housewife, but I'm putting more hours in serving the deity than she's doing. We are engaging in an act of devotional service, but that sense of feeling superior, that devotional service itself is making us feel served. So you can never win. The point is you can never win with Maya. Your senses will run here, there. You can try to hold it for a while, but it will run. It will run. So it is a failure. There's no possibility of success. Direction. There is nowadays this new age fad, but it's been there since time immemorial. They call it mindfulness. Be aware, be conscious of things outside of yourself, not just you. Be one with nature. Meditation. Nothing wrong with it. It is good. What it does is Maya is a force. If you meet force with force head on, the stronger force always will overpower the weaker force. That is the law of physics, that's nature. So with mindfulness, all we're trying to do is force is coming, and rather than meeting it head on, we are deflecting it away. So those sense gratification, all those thoughts, etc. come, you're trying to deflect it away. Fine, even that is somewhat feasible in the sense it works for a particular while. But Maya is so smart that if I deflect it, she'll take another direction and come from. If she comes from this side, she's deflected. She'll come from the other side. She'll come from top. She'll come from down. And all the time trying to deflect it. Eventually, we'll tire out and fail. Some temporary success may be there when we are able to deflect Maya. Then you have another method called Krishna Consciousness. When Prabhupada started the movement, these two words are very significant. It's very deep. It's not just two words, Krishna. We all know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna and consciousness. These two words have that significance in the sense being aware of Krishna. Always think of me, do not forget me. And how these two words relate to the solution. What is Krishna consciousness? So in practice, Krishna consciousness, it not just restricts this that we're talking about, it also directs the do's and don'ts. So we have all our do's. The do's are the ABCDs: associate, read books, diet, deity worship, chant. And then it is directing. You can't just artificially hold it back. It will just break away. So it restricts and it directs in a manner that you develop a higher taste. This higher taste is something which gives pleasure, which is not temporary. Once you taste it, it wants you to that experience, that what we spoke earlier, that goes on and on and on and on. It doesn't become stale. We can, with matter, finally we get fed up. That's why we search for new things. And it is something which is very, very practical and sustainable. Then the question comes, oh, people give up Hare Krishna also. Yes, they give up Hare Krishna, but whatever they did for that period, engaged in Krishna consciousness, however briefly or however long, doesn't matter. That effect, that cause and effect remains. It just doesn't go away. It remains. Either in this lifetime, you could restart it, or in another lifetime, there is an opportunity to get. So this is what Krishna consciousness, it's only success. There's no aspect of failure, even if there are any setbacks. In one sense, everyone is Krishna conscious. There are distinctions that we make of somebody who's a devotee, someone who's not a devotee, someone who's a Rakshasa. These are distinctions which are made based on the behavior. But in one sense, everyone is Krishna conscious. It's just a matter of time that is separating. So our consciousness has turned away from Krishna. We are self-conscious. By doing certain practices, we get back to our natural state of being Krishna conscious. And that's where the soul is in its natural situation. And in spite of having a material body, when the gross and the subtle body is engaged in serving Krishna, your personality is totally spiritual. And then you transcend, you rise above whatever are the temporary pleasures, whatever are the miseries of. It's like, that example of being dunked in water and pulled up. So instead of just taking gasps of air and being dunked again, you will be breathing normally. So these are the three methods, the solutions, and why Krishna consciousness is the best approach. Conclusion: I'm not the body, I'm the soul, full of bliss, aware. What is the soul? It's a part of the infinite whole. Therefore, Jivera Swarup Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. In serving the whole, the soul naturally derives pleasure. It's always serving. You see, we're either serving our senses, we're serving ours, I, me, myself, mine. Desires are the means to fulfill a propensity to serve. And this ignorance from point 1 to point 7 puts us in this unnatural condition called Maya, or the material world. We forget who we are, that consciousness, that ego becomes false ego. And we identify that I am this body. And then all the desires and activities are for sense gratification. I want to serve myself. Sense gratification is the medium through which soul seeks pleasure. Since matter is temporary, the pleasure it also affords is temporary. And then we are caught in seeking unending pleasure from temporary things. See how silly this whole situation is. A permanent thing is looking for permanent pleasure in something which is temporary. And sense control, yoga, aren't effective because it isn't practical and sustainable. The mind is extremely powerful. Maya, we're trying to fight with Maya. But it's not possible to control the mind. Krishna consciousness, we engage our senses to transcend the temporary. Therefore, it is practical and sustainable. Whatever is a permanent entity, eternal, we are engaging it in something which is permanent and eternal. Simple, the most simple process is chant. Prabhupada had put this phrase, chant and be happy. Chant and be happy. Literally, there's no other way in this age of Kali. Thank you, Prabhus, Matajis, for your attention. If anyone has a question, thought, comment, we have a few minutes, we could do that. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you so much, Amritananda Prabhuji, for a very wonderful, precise, put it into the points in such a way that how we can overcome the force, the power, the strength of the Maya or the senses. It was very powerful, the way you mentioned. It's very practical, very practical. So unless and until we control this, our senses, some extent, we will not taste the real bliss. It's like licking the outside of the bottle of a honey. We don't have the real taste of the honey. That's what we are trying to do here in this world. Yeah. Thank you so much for reviving that understanding. So, dear devotees, anybody would like to add anything? Any comments? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Amritananda Prabhuji Dandavat Pranam. I just have one question about do one body has the gross body has the two souls in one body?
Mataji, you're a little faint. Could you speak a little louder? Two bodies have one soul?
Like one gross body has two souls in one body. I just want to know, like, what is that? Like, two souls in one body.
There is soul and super soul. In Sanskrit, soul is called Atma, and the super soul is called Paramatma. So the representation of Krishna, the expansion of Krishna, where he pervades, one of the attributes of Krishna, God, is that he is omniscient, omnipresent. Correct? So that omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent strength. So that omnipresence means Krishna is everywhere. So he expands, so much so he expands within an atom also. So there is no time place where Krishna is not there. So that representation, the omnipresence aspect of Krishna, is embodied as the Param Atma. Paramatma. Param means superior, topmost. Atma. So every living entity, not just human beings, but whether it is a microscopic bacteria or it is a huge blue whale, has a living entity which is like a 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. That's the, you can say, a physical dimension if we need to understand. That's who the soul is. And with every soul, the Paramatma is accompanying him. The Paramatma accompanies. So in this body, my body, I have me, and then there is also Krishna. Similarly, in the dog, there is me and there is Krishna with that dog. And realization, a person who is knowledgeable in spiritual sciences, who has put it into practice, spiritual sciences, and he has this deep realization of who he is, who others are. At that point in time, he can actually see and realize and feel the presence of Paramatma in him, as well as with the others living entity. So he won't make a distinction that male, female, rich, poor, black, white, all these bodily designations. He transcends over that. He'll see a dog and a dog eater. He'll see the spirit soul in them. He sees the Paramatma in them. So, yes, your question is, are there two souls? There are no two jivas occupying, or the atmas. One atma, one material body, and along with the atma, his friend, the Paramatma, is there. And this Paramatma is somebody who is telling, we can understand sometimes the presence of Paramatma, even though we are in our gross, engaged in our sense gratification, we are trapped over there. We don't think of anything else but I, me, myself. Even in such a situation, the Paramatma makes his presence felt in the form of conscience, or what we call sometimes guilt. There are certain broad framework within which we are supposed to operate. And then sometimes if we are doing something wrong, that little voice in our head tells us, hey, don't do it. Don't do it. Not good for you. Not good for others. But then we are so addicted, our intelligence is completely lost. Intelligence can say, decide between good, bad, right, wrong, discriminate. That Paramatma tells, hey, don't do it. So my conscience, that thing which happens, but we, just shut him down. So he says, okay, your free will, go ahead. He doesn't interfere with the free will. So yeah, Mataji, there are two, but understand it is not two souls. There is the super soul, Paramatma, and the Atma occupying every living entity.
Yes, I was actually like, I know the Atma and Paramatma, but the thing is, when I came through some of this two Atmas in one body, I just want, like, I was asking, I'm so much confused about this question, like two Atmas in one body and one Paramatma. So how come all the three, like Paramatma, including Paramatma, all the three souls? How come this three souls? How does it like? We see some people, they say like that. So just I was asking.
Where did you hear this, Mataji, from? How did you hear? Where did you?
It's one of the like pravachan itself. So this is like this is the question which I was having since previous also I didn't get the answer. It's like I heard about this ghost enter or God enter, if anything like that. Like I just want to know about that. When we like back in India, like in south side, most of the people, the something enters and they change their things. And when we see somewhere like when ghost enters, they say, so what is this? Like one soul is carrying, one body is carrying two souls in that, like.
Yes, now I understand what you're talking. In the
Yeah.
normal course of, Simeshwar Prabhu, you want to answer that?
No. Just go ahead, please.
Yes, when you talk about the spirits or ghosts, so what happens is that in a normal course of event, one gross body, one Atma, and accompanying Paramatma. Now, there are certain situations depending on that Atma's karma. and whatever be that case, and how strong the mind is, his subtle body, uh, it can get influenced. And there are situations where the spirit souls and bhoot pret or whatever it is can occupy. So just look at the body. In that context, the analogy is look at the body like an apartment, and that apartment is meant for a single use only, and the person has to be kind of careful to guard as to who it allows in, whom it doesn't allow. So you're supposed to occupy just this apartment, and nobody else is allowed in that apartment. But at times, because of that weakness of that soul, there are other spirit souls which do not have a physical body. It could be a case of suicide. A person exercised his free will to end his lifespan before his quota of enjoyment and suffering was completed in that lifespan. So, till such time, he doesn't get another body. It roams around, but it still has desires. But there is no ways. Body is the means in which it can enact or act on its desire. So, there are these uh, I don't know if I should use the word weak individuals, where it can come and occupy. And then they have these exorcists and all these people who I've seen when I was studying, they beat the person with branches, and all kind of elaborate rituals are done to drive away these things. So it is possible, but it is a freak. It's not the normal course of events. And then when that spirit soul comes and occupies the body, the ghost in this case, what we were talking about, it can control. And then you can actually have people who will, maybe a woman will start talking like a man. And so, whatever is that spirit soul, his or her personality, this particular body is then used to do that. So, yeah, it can happen, but it's more you can look at it as a uh, freak or an anomaly. But in the normal course of things, it is. I'll tell you a story which my personal experience with so-called ghosts. Uh, uh, many years back, we used to do the Japa Club. So we used to get up early in the morning and do chanting. There was no Zoom calls and all. So we used to do on this free conference. It was like a conference room, and you should just dial in, and you could have meetings or whatever. So we used this platform to do Japa Club. And in the morning around 4 o'clock or whatever, we used to get up, finish around. Just the idea was just to chant together in company. Uh, since I used to get up early, the children were small. My daughter was very small. She used to sleep with us in our bedroom. You get up, there is noise and all. I used to sleep in the living room. Uh, so in the living room, uh, you have these touch lamps. If you touch it, it comes on. You touch it twice, it goes brighter. 3 times, it goes brightest. And then again, you touch it, goes off. So there's no physical switch which goes on and off. It goes on. So, and my wife was sleeping with the baby in the bedroom, and by her bedside also there was another of this lamp. So I have a habit of reading before I go to sleep. So I was reading some Bhagavad Gita. So I don't know. I was reading some Prabhupada book, and that light is there. And when I go to sleep, I just tap it, and so my light was on, and Savita and Sachi were in the bedroom, and Savita had switched off her light and turned towards Sachi and putting her to sleep. So after some time, her light came on and my light went off. So, and no one has touched it. Nobody touched it. So the light which was on goes off, and the light which is off goes on. So I found it strange. I said, and I have my mind by nature always thinks not just what has happened, but why it happened and how it happens. It's just my nature. curiosity. I always like to figure things out. So I was trying to figure out, there's no draft of breeze or anything coming. This is how my mind was working. And Savita also got perplexed. She's saying, how can it come on? I've turned the other side. Accidentally while sleeping, if your hand touches it, it would go on. So she got a very uneasy feeling. Why she got it, I don't know. She thought that there may be some bhoot in the house. So she came and she's saying, something strange happened. And then I said, yeah, even with me. She's saying, what? So I told her this light was on. I didn't touch it, but it went off. She's saying, same thing happened in the bedroom. My light was off, it went on. So now I thought, this is really strange. But my mind didn't go to bhoot. So Savita says that, I'm getting an uneasy feeling. It is not. And I had a sense, now I don't know if it is my mind which was playing. Sometimes your mind imagines things and you can see and visualize stuff. And actually it feels real. So I felt something like a dark, like it was in the darkness. Like in darkness, you could see something dark. Not a shape or anything, just like a blotch of some darkness. I felt some presence. Even as I'm talking, I'm getting goosebumps. So I said, is my mind playing games? What is it? So I told him. So Savita kind of freaked out because immediately our self-preservation, right? That's the basic biological instinct. So, bhoot, like we thought it's like that. And now even I started getting a little scared because the culture and tradition says that, this bhoot, pret and all that is all evil. They cause you harm, this, that, and all. So even all that thing started, I started getting a little worried. And then I said, now is my test of faith. That I chant the holy name. There are Prabhupada's books. There are deities. We do deity worship. So do I really think that a bhoot can be over here and Krishna can not protect me? It was a test of my faith. So I told my wife, internally I was scared, but outside I put a brave front and I told her, no, I'll sleep here only. Don't worry. The deities and everything are here. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. You go and sleep. She's saying, no, please, for my satisfaction, you come in and sleep. Thank God she said that because I was scared. Maybe Krishna arranged it. So we went and slept I went and slept in the master bedroom. And okay, we thought nothing of it. The next day I told Madhupati Prabhu, I said, Madhupati Prabhu, this is something strange. So he said, so I told him all this, something black, I could feel a presence and all. So he says, you should have preached to whatever it was. So I said, what? So he says, yeah. And then he gave me an example of Prabhupada. Prabhupada used to sit up late at night. He would sleep hardly 2-3 hours. And when everything is quiet, he would be sitting translating all these scriptures for us, the translation, purport, synonyms, all these things. Prabhupada would sit in the middle of the night, writing. And apparently there was a spirit. And that spirit came, and when he chanted, Prabhupada then preached to that spirit. And that is it, when we are chanting that Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is not just for me, my spirit soul, which is in this material body. It is also for living entities with such subtle bodies that we cannot perceive with our eyes. Even other Atmas, which do not have a gross body and are wandering around here and there, they also get the opportunity to go back to Godhead. That's why when they say japa, do it in a manner which could be heard. When we do japa, the chanting, it's Hare Krishna, we are hearing. But it's not just we are hearing that benefit. When we are doing kirtan, when we go Nagar Kirtan, that's how it goes. So that was just a little story on this when Mataji told me about the 2 souls occupying the body. Yes, I've heard this also before. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
But that's temporary though.
Correct.
Anything which is not permanent. Permanent is the Atma, the spirit soul, and the Paramatma. any other souls which comes in, which just comes and go. Yeah, I saw with my
Good point.
my father personally with my eyes. My father is haunted one day, one evening, and my father never learned or knew any Tamil language. Never knew, and always in the military in the northern side, and never knew anything. But our forefathers and all came from the region of Tamil Nadu region. That's that places. So I think I would say like maybe 4 generations back or 5 generations back or something like that. One evening I saw we were actually on the altar and we were chanting the holy name in the, we were a child, maybe 4th grade or 5th grade. My father was sitting on a chair there. All of a sudden he got unconscious. He fall down. He got unconscious. And he started to speak. After a little while, he started to speak Tamil like anything, like a person is speaking Tamil like. We never heard, we know it is a Tamil language. But he never knew it is a Tamil. But he never spoke Tamil before or he never spoke after that Tamil. But the language is started to speak. And so for a while, he started keep speaking for quite some time. And then we know that we always have this Tirtha Jala. Tirtha Jala means the Abhishek, the Abhishek water, the ritual. And we always keep it at the home. Anything purification and anything like that, we just sprinkle on it. My mother knew that, there is a, what is called this murchi and, something like that. She just immediately, took it from there and put it on my dad's and also sprinkled this water, this sacred water. And then he cooled down. And after a while, and he asked, what he was speaking. We didn't have any idea what he was speaking. It was literally, yes, it affects. It definitely affects. It's there. I strongly believe, and there are so many instances there. But only way we can keep away from all these elements. That's in the temple and all the people wherever there is a spiritual, because of there may be souls wandering around. Maybe whoever it is, maybe they are related, they may be relatives, maybe whoever it is there. They may be around and they are looking for an opportunity to liberate themselves and some way or other to connect, some way or other to get into the body, or they have, even though they are wandering, means they have all these feelings of taste and hunger, everything is there. So they are looking for an opportunity. That's why we blow the conch. One of the reasons we blow the conch to send away, because of they can come and make the harm, and they can obstruct the puja. They can harm. Some are good, some are bad, and it's mostly affecting those who are more sensual, more sense gratificatory people. Because of this, they are actually more affected to the subtle body. They cannot connect. They cannot affect the soul or anything. That's why some people get unconscious immediately, because of their mind is gone. Right? They capture the mind. They enter into the mind, and they enter into the senses. Some people, so much of, so many instances are there. They grab here and thing, and they try to drink something, try to taste, try to. So many things are there. In so many ways. So they mainly attacks on the mind and the senses and the subtle body. Basically, they capture. They cannot attack the soul or anything, but they are mostly on the subtle body, because they are also on the subtle level, subtle body, and they are traveling like that. They don't have a physical body. So yeah, it's temporary, and those who are so mischievous, like those who are alcoholic, those who doesn't have any kind of the devotional, like when a person wear the Gandhimala, it won't come, because of it's very pure and it protects. And there's Kavacha or Gandhimala or Tilak on their body won't come. So and chanting the holy name and they have a Krishna in the heart and chanting the holy name, they purified. To some extent, they purified. And certain stars, certain good stars, and even the stars are also, there are good stars and evil stars, or all those things are there. Though some born into that star, it won't affect them. Some are born into some bad star, it will affect them. Things like that. The main thing is actually is if our senses, our subtle body is not purified, then this can capture. It will capture us, and if it is purified, it won't. It cannot enter into our body. That's the case of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was writing, and when it comes and cannot do anything, this ghost or spirit comes and cannot do anything, and they are begging actually our mercy. There is no need of afraid of also. There is no need of afraid. They for the devotees or the likes that, it won't affect. It won't enter into any of the body of the devotees or those who are chanting or Kandimala, Tilak, Tulasi. It won't. But those who are very atheistic people, they don't drinking and alcoholic, and their senses might all very bad. Those are the people is mostly affected. And meat eaters, it's very, very, it affects mostly the meat eaters people, because of they are so sinful, and they have not much protections. Okay, I think it's good to know. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Mataji. Nice discussion. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else has anything to add? Okay. So then, thank you so much. Let's have the Damodara Ashtaka. So let's sing together. It's a Karthik, and we can let me share the screen. Damodara Ashtaka. Are you able to see? Able to see the screen?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay. Who is going to sing today? Devotees, please go ahead. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Savita.
Please, yeah.
Putting her in a spot.
Please. Yeah. Mataji, please sing.
She's shy.
It's an easy tune. Who else can sing? Puneet Prabhu. Everybody is shy.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you want to sing?
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll sing all the 4 lines together. Is it okay?
Yeah, just sing. Let's see. Yeah.
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yeshodabiyolukaladamamanam Paramuchamatyantato Dhritya Gopya
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabiyolu Kaladhavamanam Paramishtamathyandadurutya Gopya. So let's read the translation, please.
To the supreme control, whose possess a eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glittering airing swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stolen the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafter of their storeroom, and whose they quickly jump up and run in the retreat in the fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजान्तं करम्बोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकं पात्रिरेकङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैव दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम्
रुदन्दं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्दं कराम्बुजयुग्मेन साधङ्गनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्बात्रिरेकङ्गकण्ड स्थितग्रीवं दामोदरं भक्तिबद्धम्.
Upon seeing his...
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, bro.
No, please.
Thank you. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
इति स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमाजान्तमाख्यापयन्त तदीयसि ताद्येषु भक्तैर्जितात्वं पुनः प्रेमतास्तां शतावृत्तिवन्दे
इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे सुघोषमिमचन्दमाख्यापयन्तम् तदीयशितास्तेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सदा वृत्तिवन्दे.
Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attached only to his majestic aspect of Narayana and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion to the Supreme Lord Damodara. My obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चन्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशादपीह इदं तैव पूर्णात गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्याविरास्तां किमान्ये
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरे सदपीह इदं देवपूर्णात् गोपालबालम् तदा मे मनस्याविराश्रं किमन्ये.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart.
इदं ते मुकाम्बोजात्यन्तनीले वृतन्तं कुन्तलै स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्य मुहुस्तुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरां मे मनस्य विरास्तां हलं लक्षलाभै
इदं ते मुखाम्बोजमन्दनीले इदं कुण्डलैः स्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्ता मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्ताधरं मे मनस्याविराष्ट्रं नलं लक्षलाभे. Please read translation.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruits due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
नमो देव दामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाब्धिमाग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु ग्रहणेशमामाग्नं ये दक्षिदृश्य
नमो देवदामोदरानन्द विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालामग्नम् कृपा दृष्टिवृष्यादिदीनं वदानो गृहणेश मामग्नमे दक्षिदृश्य
Oh,
Oh,
unlimited.
unlimited.
Go ahead,
ahead,
Mata.
Master.
Very
please.
good.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and I am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. Hare Krishna.
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमृत्तैमयद्वा त्वयमोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च तत प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्ये प्रयश्च न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे दामोदरेह
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वा त्वयामोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ तदा प्रेम भक्तिं सुगमे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे गृहो मे दामोदरे
Oh Lord Damodara, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying frogs. You did feed the sons of Kuvera, Manigreva, and Nalakuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your equalities. Preach.
नमस्तेऽस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरादित्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयधरायात विश्वास्य दाम्ने नमो राधिकाये त्वदीया प्रियाय नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमस्तेस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने धियोदरायाधविश्वस्य नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीयप्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय
Devaya Tuvyam.
O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisance to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Jai Sri Shri Radha Damodar Ji ki
Jai,
Jai.
Radha Shyama Sundar Ji ki Jai.
Jai,
Madhu Ji ki Jai. Shri
Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bo. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank
Hare
you so much.
Krishna.
So nice, so wonderful. So wonderful association, wonderfully devotees are engaging. So nice. This is the perfection. This is the path of perfection. Thank you so much. So let us conclude then today's session. Thank you, Amritananda.
Thank you, Simeshwar, my dear friend Simeshwar. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
All
Thank you,
glories to
Hare
Prabhuji,
Srila
for
Krishna.
this
Prabhupada.
Thank
wonderful
you.
class.
Hare Bo.
Jai Prabhupada. Thank you, everybody.
Jai, Jai.
Thank you.
Let's
Prabhu, when are you coming?
Actually, Mataji, we were to come this weekend, but some last minute. In India, I mean, God, things don't happen the way the efficiency of the West. So last minute, these banks and all these guys, something or the other, they remove. So I'm hoping, please say a prayer. It happens.
Yes,
Otherwise,
Prabhu.
maybe next week or whenever. But yes, missing all of you.
Looking forward to meet you, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you to Simeshwar Prabhu, who brings all of us together on this. Thanks, Simeshwar. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
It's all
Hare Bo.
devotees association, Satsanga. This is called Satsanga. Satsangatve Nissangatvam. Nissangatve Nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam. Nischalatatve Jivan Mukti. This is the principle. Satsang. Everything starts from Satsang. So thank you so much. Let's pay our obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarupasya kripa sindhu evacha padidana pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki
Jai.
Viraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita
Bhagavad
ki
Gita ki
Jai.
jai.
Srila
Srila
Prabhupada ki
Prabhupada ki
Ananda
jai.
Gauri
Jai.
Vaishnavrinda ki
Vaishnavrinda ki
Jai.
jai.
Gaura Premanande
Gauravanande,
Hari
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 Hari.
Om.
Jai.
Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Amritananda
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Wonderful
Hari
Mataji.
Bol.
presentation, wonderful.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Jai Prakash Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari
Hare
Bol.